This is Conscious Thought 101. Starting this channel to address the philosophy of group bashing, mainly through religion, with black people with black people being free thinkers. It seems that if it's not voting, it's some type of action or words that the black people says that's not in the categorically box of adhering to a Christian church or doing what elders would consider moving in the realm of pleasing Jesus. And I align that with the history of black folks and their accomplishments from Africa to here. For example, I was reading a book, I read the book by Dr. Ivan V. Sertima, They Came Before Columbus. And in that, he uses references from people that wrote books on linguistics, anthropology from the 1800s through the early 1900s on up to, I want to say the 50s, even with journalists and writing articles for the New York Times way back in the day. I'm talking about way before the internet. So we start with Columbus, how even society will ridicule a person for saying that Columbus didn't discover America. Really, Africans did. Because Columbus got word from Ethiopians and Arabs that you sail from the coast of Africa, especially from the equator, you can end up in a great land. It'd be Brazil. You come further up, the current will take you either to Brazil, the Caribbean, Florida, depending on which way you sail from, depending on how up or low from the equator you sail from. And when Columbus came to the islands, the Indians, which were described as tawny in color, told them, indicated to them that black people came there with gold spears. They came from the east where the sun comes from. Oh, in 1492 to, I don't know if he made 3 voyages, 1492, 1498, or whatever. The few years are irrelevant because the fact remains that they showed him the gold-tipped spears and he took them back and had his people or the people of Spain or Portugal analyze them, and it was found to be the same gold spears, the same blend that they had in Africa. And they had a word for it, started with a G, not guamine, a DNA word, but it was a word that was derived from a West African language that the Indians and the Caribbean were using. And also the cotton weave fabric, the same fabric that's found in West Africa, Columbus seen the exact same fabric on the island. Yeah, I gotta switch my glasses. Okay. The word is guanin, Guanin. what origin of West African language, but was used by the Indians in the Caribbean. So, if all this was known and written before we were born, why is it not taught in public schools? And the same with the history of the church itself. Because when the Spanish came here, they were told to forcefully convert all the Indians, build churches and forts. So, if our elders and even people our age are trying to psychologically coerce us to move in a realm and to please Jesus and them, or you will get bashed, you could categorize that as brainwashing or as Christianity being a cult itself. So if the masses want you to fall in line, who's thinking for them? Because if you can't think for yourself, are you being pushed to think for them or the people that handle them? Is it the pastor, the TV, radio, where we do have radio personalities, musicians, actors, but especially the comedians. You know, a lot of them coercing people to, go to the doctor, vote for this candidate, no matter what. For black comedians, most overall, it's always vote for the Democrat, no matter what. Open borders, lack of jobs, nosedive in economy, increased crime, less jobs, horrible education. But the teachers want more money. You know, people say teachers teach, they don't get paid. I can't tell because we keep getting reports, the black people got a 30% literate rate or math or even 20% in public schools. What is throwing money going to do? Need to restructure. So, if Africans were sailing here way before Columbus, and Columbus got here and they made a distinction. Black people came here with these gold spears, and he seen the cotton was the same that was in West Africa. Why are we being taught that Columbus discovered America, and why are black people so interested in church than their own fucking history? It's so bad you can't even talk to black church members about anything but what the pastor wants in Jesus. They want you to go to the doctor to take antibiotics that have proven deadly, life-altering side effects. Nobody want to have a discussion about nutrition. The medical industry is 2 decades behind any current research. They'll give you a surgery on a whim. If you go in there and say, well, I need this removed, there's some doctors that say, okay, let's go ahead and get you set up. A lot of them don't care. Not to say all of them, but a lot of them don't care, whether they're from here or India. It's about the money. Yes, nobody's seen a recent article about this white doctor called half cocaine performing surgery. Or surgeons from India butchering Americans on the table and not getting in trouble. It's swept under the rug. People, the victims, are encouraged not to sue. Or they'll get told it was a pre-existing condition already that happened, that caused that. But if church people know more about Jesus than their own history, would that explain the condition of black folks overall? Not individuals that break away and think for themselves. The so-called family members have had developed serious dysfunctional relationships over politics itself. Second thing is Jesus. If you can't vote for somebody because your family will get mad, but you can't tell them what the fuck to do because they're going off of indoctrination. If they're operating off of a fallacy that Jesus will forgive you for anything, no matter what, that enables them to not pay back money that's owed, or to even steal from a relative, raise their children in the same manner, which will lead to immoral decisions that can land them in jail. But Jesus forgives you for anything. That's what it's taught. Wonder why people are in and out of church. Same thing with Islam. That's a slave religion also. Two major religions that are ritualistic in nature. Another thing with the education. If the Olmecs, if those sculpted heads with clearly black faces were discovered generations ago, photographs taken, but not published until the 80s, so the Smithsonian Museum sat on these, wouldn't publish them. They're clearly black in Central America, Southern Mexico. That's your history right there being suppressed. So some black people act as if their ancestors never did anything. And it's so heartbreaking to hear some church women, I don't want to hear about the ancestors, I only want to hear about Jesus. If anybody want to know a clear-cut story in one country in the, I think it was the 1600s played out, when the Portuguese went to what is now Angola. They already had an economy, already had a society, civilized political system. Portuguese went there with their ships and cannons. Oh, we got a new gospel. It's Jesus this, Jesus that. So on the Leader finally gave in. Okay, so he put people around him. He did, did conversion. Now they say, oh, we need 1,000 slaves a year. You're gonna be a slave. Yeah, I thought it was all about Jesus. I thought Jesus was the ultimate forgiver. Or was that the ultimate enslaver? Really, was that the ultimate enslaver? Jesus. So, the king at the time had a son and daughter. The daughter's name was Queen Nzinga. You go to the UNESCO website, I'm on one of the sources, or you can find it in Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. She fought them for a good 40 years at least, because they walked, rest in peace, they walked the people they kidnapped about a good 200 miles to the coast. 200 something miles at least. Took about a couple of weeks. And Queen Nzinga and her militia would blend into the captives, set them free, and they overpower the kidnappers, take their weapons, do what they're gonna do, they escape. And a lot of people took poison. The captives, they would take poison and kill themselves, and they also had to walk over the dead bodies of all their relatives and friends rotting in the dirt. That's what Jesus did. That's what accepting Jesus did. You accepted your fate as an ultimate march of death. And if you did make it, then it's the ultimate beating and rape until you die. Until they just get tired of you. So, if the parents of the children do not wake up and think for themselves, or to teach their children how to think for themselves, they're just potential victims of society and government and church in training. So how do these pastors consciously, in moral thought and action, tell you about Jesus on a regular basis, especially the ones that went to college? Especially. You're not going to tell me if they didn't take alternate religion classes to see where the original Trinity came from. Isis, Osiris, and Heru. I'm not going to tell you that. And then even with slavery, with Jesus, if Jesus will forgive you for anything, will he forgive the lynch mob? Will he forgive it? So are you supposed to be in heaven with those same clan members that lynched your ancestors, dismembered their body, put it in formaldehyde jars, put body parts up for sale in a general store, or ate it? So will Jesus forgive them? Will Jesus forgive all the rapists that rape black women and men on the plantation? Will Jesus forgive that? Because everybody know the KKK were Protestants. Well, you should know. If you didn't know, you know now. So let's get into the history. Let's get into the history before slavery. That's the point. Let's get into thinking for yourself. And if you don't want to vote, don't. You don't have to vote. Because, elders, I'll tell the elder I'm not voting. Oh, well, our people died to be able to vote. What else did they die for? Or what else did they get killed for? Shit, Emmett Till wasn't voting. Was Emmett Till going around casting a vote? He got lied on by the original Karen. Whatever that lady is that lied on him and got him deleted. What did people get lynched for? It wasn't voting. Yes, people did die for registering to vote, but overall, people got lynched. And you could check with Ida B. Wells for being successful business owners. For saying, no, you're not going to rip me off. For defending yourself if a white man hits you and you hit him back, will beat his ass. Now it's a lynch mob. And then when Ida B. Wells told the truth about it, they tore her office up. See what I'm saying? And people want to go into slavery. That was so long ago. Well, the lynchings are still going on by police or some unknown entity hanging a black person, and it's written off as suicide or whatever. But a lot of it is police. Not all police are bad, but a lot of this is happening by the police. And they could be on film with no remorse, no justification of action. And then when they get locked up, people are surprised if they get locked up. Back to the history. If you're convinced that you're black, you never did anything, and you show it that you just don't care and whatever, they can tell you anything. And this is where the white, I want to call them online bullies or whatever. I want to say online bullies, online agitators, always in black spaces where black people are swapping information on documented history. You always find them in there loudmouth and talking crap. If black people never did anything, are incapable, for one, why were the Jim Crow laws made? Two, why are you in our spaces loudmouth and talking nuts? If you feel like we're too stupid or incapable, you should be comfortable if it's all black people in there, because by your logic and terminology, we can never get nothing or conjure up anything or have an idea in the first place of why you're there. Why are certain white people there to suppress black history? Because of ego. Sometimes I believe that their perception of they created everything, white people should be happy that we were even slaves. I think that perception keeps the economy going. I really do. Because certain people get very upset, foaming at the mouth, cognitive dissonance about black people being successful even after slavery. If all these towns were destroyed by some fictitious charge, and if white society per se by the bigots was so justifiable, then if you accuse this person of a crime, why does everybody else have to die? That's uncivilized. So what year did you become civilized? When did you stop doing that? When did you stop going through a town, killing as many people as you can, burning down all their homes and property and businesses? When did that stop? Because by description, that's uncivilized and barbaric. So when did the bigots become civilized? What year? Those black people are this, that, and third, and everything negative under the sun. They even say that in the Bible. Black people are cursed. The Hamites are cursed because of Noah, ABC, XYZ, whatever. So, who created math? Who mastered astronomy? Even Benjamin Banneker had to make an almanac in this country because ain't nobody know how to farm, obviously. You know, when Christians say, oh, that's demonic and astronomy and all this and that. Grab an almanac, go to a store. It could be a hardware store or a farm supply store. Open up the almanac. Or if you could get a hold of one for the last 10 years. For your region where you live at, or if you used to live somewhere else. Go to the weather pattern. You have specific dates for each month. Tell me how accurate it is. Just like the one in the Midwest. In St. Louis, for St. Louis region. Almanac I bought a year ago said the dates for snow. It was going to be extra cold and more snow in December. Starting in December and then into January. Sure enough, we then had some long under 20 degree consecutive days, even down to single digits. Some places got 10 inches of snow way before New Orleans. It's been pretty cold. But the church say don't get into that. That's divination. With your zodiac signs or whatever, which some people do have particular characteristics to the month they were born in. And the church say don't get into astronomy and dates and all this and that, but how do they calculate Easter? Pure astronomy. 100%. For the past 10 or 20 years, look up the Easter dates. What month were they in? They were in March and April. And how was that day calculated? New moons. Look it up. Look up Easter for the next 20 years. Every day. Why is every day different? Calculated off astronomy. So, if black people do not start reading books about their documented history, you might as well give up on politics, work your little job, put your head down, collect that check, keep that Section 8, and just stay in one spot, keep your head down, and stay out of people's way that's trying to do something. And if you're not going to do anything, let your kids learn. If you can't learn, you're done with it. You're done with life. You're just here for the kids. You're going to take an L. Let that L be a win for your children. Let them go out and learn a lot. Let them go out and be who they want to be. Let them develop their skill. Don't be the one suppressing their thought. Because if they can't think for themselves, you cannot choose the person who will indoctrinate them to think for them. Just keep that in mind. Some people don't want to read books. Some people don't want to even do it on audio. Do it one bit at a time. Okay, how long the book is? One, a chapter a day, a chapter a week. If it's a chapter a month, just do it. or encourage your kids to do it, and they'll tell you about it. Because how many generations have we been in this condition? Even with politics, no matter who you vote for, everybody else is taken care of over us. And you gotta look into the influence of social media and TV. And I remember, last thing on history, I remember reading in a New York Times article from the 50s or 60s, might have been the 50s. New York Times was the reference because archaeologists discovered in Egypt, Sudan area, it was a bunch of graves of royal people, and the whole the system of their burial practices were the same as Egyptian mummies. The clothing was the same. The deities were the same. And it's New York Times from 1960 something. But the discovery happened in the 50s. They were certified black. But they predated the founding of Egypt by a good 15 generations. Where's all that in our science class? Where is it? So, or is it the fact that we know black people founded Egypt and built the pyramids? Yeah, we did. The political system, the spiritual system, we did that too. Only thing is, we accepted Jesus. We gave it all up mentally for a pie in the sky. Do whatever we want, and it's so contradictory. It is so contradictory. Even the book of Genesis has two different sources. That's why it don't make any sense. The first two books of Genesis are on the creation. If it was just Adam and Eve, Cain killed his brother. Why would he need a mark on his head so whenever he go out, won't nobody mess with him? They either the only ones or they not. You know, it's a fairy tale. The story is constructed as a fairy tale. Was Little Red Riding Hood out there too? The big bad wolf, three little pigs? Yeah, I'm serious. I don't care who get offended. I have nobody explain to me how this jumps around and makes sense. And church people, I used to ask this question when I was younger. Nobody could explain it. They had some made up off the wall gibberish. Like, church asks for money. They go to the Old Testament where the man robbed God. Then, you know, but the Old Testament is relevant, but you go there to ask for money. Then, you know, get your mind right. You know what I'm saying? Get it right. So, I'm going to end this right here, but this series is will be based on slavery by another name. They came before Columbus, and the destruction of black civilization. Now, slavery by another name. A Wall Street journalist reporter went to the South and documented court cases on black people because a lot of places they wanted to know why black people in certain areas did not advance like other immigrants did or whatever, you know, second generation out of slavery or whatever. And what he found was so disgusting but so relevant to the prison system currently. in progress. And plenty of people can find judges that have gotten in trouble for convict leasing. But back then, it was much worse to the extent that if you got caught up in that coal mine on another plantation, 95% chance you was going to be there till you die. Barely fed, overworked. You see the bones through your skin. Yeah, that's what that book is about. That was after the Civil War, up to World War II. The only reason that it ended in World War II because the president made J. Edgar Hoover crack down on that because they were afraid that black folks was going to side with the Japanese. Take a pause on that. So, yeah, that's kind of ironic how MLK was surveilled for being a communist, and yet on both coasts and two of the biggest states, populated states, seem to be full commie. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we have a lot to get into. I might just do this for, Sunday mornings or maybe on a day off from work. Go through them chapters. I say a chapter at a time. Like a book report. Get more people interested in their history through books that have been around since before a lot of us were born. Because I keep reading that for children, knowing who they are and where they came from, what their ancestors accomplished, boosts self-esteem. Because they always want to label our kids just categorically bad or disruptive, etc. Well, I read a couple of studies that once they know who they are, where they came from, when they're taught real black history, they behave better and they excel in learning. I want mothers and fathers to figure that out. All right, it's been nice, but it's time to go get some breakfast. Y'all have a good one. Peace.